All right, hey guys, good morning. So, welcome to episode 3, Behind the Scenes Tropical Haunts. Ghost hunting devices. Are they good? Are they bad? Do they have value? Details in just a sec. All right, welcome back. So, today's video is going to be about ghost hunting equipment, devices, marketed devices across the board. Now, I have made one video prior to this, I think one, about one piece of ghost hunting equipment. I was going to do that as a series, but I started having a conversation with some of my colleagues, and I kind of got down the rabbit hole on YouTube on the subject of ghost hunting devices and if they're any good, and are they of value, are people fooling themselves, and that sort of thing. But before we move along in our topic, I just want to say there are other channels out there, larger channels, and I understand I do not pump out content like a lot of the larger channels, but instead of always referring to my subscribers as, hey guys, I wanted to use the term of endearment, the haunters or haunters. So what I like to do is refer to my subscribers from here on as haunters. So if you think that's a great idea, if you like it, you think it's a good term of endearment, then give me a thumbs up. If you absolutely think it's dreadful, then tell me that as well. But for the now, I'm going to refer to our subscribers and our viewers as haunters. So let's move on with the topic of ghost hunting equipment. Now, let me preface this video. I'm going to try to power through this and make it as, I don't want to make it boring, but I think it's something that needs to be pointed out for a couple of reasons. One, I think anyone who's thinking about doing paranormal investigations need to know that this equipment is expensive, and there's a lot of skeptics out there, and regardless of what you use, there are going to be people who tell you that it's nonsense. So don't let that discourage you in any way, but I'm going to go over this topic with 5 simple questions, maybe put a little clarity to it. Ghost hunting equipment devices, and also I've formulated my own opinions and experiences with these devices. So without further delay, let's just get into the video. And what I did is I forgive me, I'm going to refer to my notes occasionally, but what I did is I kind of decided to do this in 5 easy questions so we can just keep moving, answer the question, and move on to the next one. So we're going to start ghost hunting devices, episode 3, question number 1. What is ghost hunting equipment? It's just that simple. What is it? What do I consider it? What do most people consider ghost hunting equipment? Now, most people consider ghost hunting equipment any device that helps assist and documents evidence of the paranormal or the inexplicable and changes in environment. It's just that simple. Whether people believe it or not, or they think that's associated with spirits, it really doesn't matter at that point. If it's unexplainable and you're in an environment and your device is designed to detect changes in environment, temperature, humidity, and any change in your environment, like proximity alerts, that sort of thing. That's what these devices, I consider ghost hunting devices and equipment. And I know it runs the whole gamut of cameras and the whole thing, but I think people pretty much take it for granted that if you're going to do a video or document equipment, you need to have a camera with you. If not, then you should. Let me tell you that you should. You should have a camera with you because nobody's going to see it but you. But anyway, moving on. Number 1, I think the answer is simple. Whatever equipment you use to document your evidence and your changes in environment, that would be considered ghost hunting equipment. Now, for the purpose of this video, I kind of want to focus on the ones that are marketed toward people who want to do paranormal investigation and they're selling it, and that is most commonly used. So that's question number 1. So I hope that answers and prefaces this video. Okay, so question number 2. What types are there? What types of ghost hunting equipment are there? Now, I think there's so many that I probably couldn't list them all. You would walk away and throw yourself off the balcony listening to me drone on about this. But I think there's 4 major types of ghost hunting equipment that most people talk about, and I think is marketed to people who want to do paranormal investigation. And I'm going to say them so I don't forget them, and then we'll go over each piece very, very briefly. And I think they go from a digital recorder, spirit box, EMF detector, and a REM pod. So again, let me say digital recorder, spirit box, EMF detector. I have them on the table here, so I'm looking at them right here, and a REM pod. Now, let's go over these briefly and kind of a little bit of explanation of what they are if you're not familiar with them. Most of you probably are, and you've probably seen me use a couple of these. Now, there is another device that I really love. I don't use it a lot because I'm in South Florida and the environment is constantly hot and humid, so it doesn't change much. But the EDI environmental device is absolutely amazing. But you know, really, a lot of people don't really, if the temperature changes in a building, yeah, it could be paranormal, but most of the time it's just the environment changing normally, organically. So let's go over real briefly the types that I just named and the ones that I think are most frequently marketed to those people who want to be paranormal investigators. So the first one is a digital recorder. Now, a digital recorder, I think everybody should have this in their toolkit. And supposedly you can catch disembodied voices. They call them EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. And you ask questions, you pause, and you wait for a response. Now, a lot of people go, oh, well, you know, you're just picking up sounds that sound like words. Well, I don't know. I've heard some pretty clear EVPs, and I'm sure you guys probably have done the same. They pause for a moment, and then you hear, get out, or something like that. Now, could they fake it? Absolutely. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to go out on location and fake an EVP because, first of all, it's too much trouble, and I don't want to do it, and it would destroy your credibility with your subscribers or audience. If you ever get caught doing any of that sort of thing, you can just toss your career as a paranormal investigator out the window because you're done. So faking evidence would just be career suicide. So the next one is the spirit box. This is a little tiny one. It's the SP7. It's one of the original ones. It's not the one that I've used in my videos, but it is very similar. Basically, all it does is scan radio frequencies. I think it was originally called the Frank's box, and it scans radio frequencies in milliseconds. And supposedly, the white noise, the spirits can manipulate the white noise into saying words or sentences. So the chances of you getting a complete sentence or a sentence with it scanning through a radio frequency that quickly and capturing that from one radio frequency is pretty low, I guess, pretty low. And so if you do catch words or phrases on there, I think that's a little unexplainable, but that's just me. And I kind of love the spirit box, but I bought me a new one. I'm not going to show it to you on the video here, but it has a mute button, so maybe I can use it in places where noise is a concern, and I can ask questions, and then I can turn it on quickly, but I'll highlight that later on. So the next one is the EMF meter. This is the one that gets bashed a lot. The EMF meter, they say it's unprotected. You can see this one. I chose this one to put on this video because you can see in the back it's not protected, it's not shielded. It can capture EMF from all. Now, EMF is electromagnetic frequencies. So that's what this is basically designed to do, is detect electric current or magnetism or frequencies or fields, I guess you could call it. So, you know, you can see you turn it on, it calibrates, you put it next to the electrical laptop, and it goes bananas. So this is the one that they beat up on more than anything. It's because they say there's so many false readings on it. Now, lastly is the REM pod. Now, this is a mail meter, but it does have a REM pod function to it, and but it is an EMF as well. But I use this as a REM pod because it has a little antenna. You pull it out, it creates a little proximity bubble. We're going to go over that here in a moment. And boom, there you have it. You have a REM pod. So those are the basic tools, devices that I think are marketed more than anything else. And these probably get bashed on by skeptics more than any of the rest of them. There are divining rods, pendulums, all sorts of things, IR cameras, but I'm going to leave cameras out of this discussion because I think it's kind of a given that you're going to have a camera with you, and if you're in the dark, you kind of need some sort of IR setup. So I'm just talking specifically about devices that are marketed for finding ghosts or ghost hunting. So, all right. So those are the types that I think that I'm going to be focusing on this video, and what I think are the most common. So these I would recommend anyone that has a toolkit that want to go out ghost hunting, I think, and add a flashlight maybe to that. Then I think this is your bread and your meat and potatoes of your ghost hunting kit. So, all right. So that answers the question. What types are they? I think. So let's move on to question number 3. Which is the big one, the big whammy. Is there science behind these devices? Now, I'm not going to drone on and on and on and defend any of these devices and what evidence that people catch and how they interpret it. But I will say this, there is absolutely science behind some of these devices, whether it's used scientifically or they quantify that evidence scientifically is a whole entire debate in and of itself. But these devices are based in some science. So, and we'll start with the digital recorder. Everybody knows that. It captures and records voices. And whether you think it's a voice after you ask a question or a word or a noise or a bird chirping, that's entirely up to the viewer and the investigator. But that digital recorder is based on digital science of recording noise, and anything that you put on there can be interpreted as maybe it's not a sound or word. There are plenty of debates over recordings, even on news broadcasts, what he said, what he didn't say. So that is the same thing. But there's definitely, digital recording has been around for a very long time. So yes, that is created by people much smarter than me and what could be considered scientists, I guess. Now, the next one is, let's go to the Spirit Box. Spirit Box is a radio scanner. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to get into the weeds about the science behind a radio scanner. But I will say this. This thing scans, I think, up to 300 milliseconds per channel. I mean, it's flipping, it's going. This thing is moving. So the chances of getting a complete sentence on one radio station is astronomically high. So if you hear, hey, my name is blah, 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 then there's a high chance that something's manipulating this device. So, but I guess the question is there science behind this? It's a radio frequency. It picks up and detects radio frequency and it scans it. So someone with more education than me, probably an electrical engineer, designed this. So yeah, I would say there's some science behind this. Again, how you interpret it, maybe not be scientific, but whatever. I think there's science behind that. So the next one we're going to move on to is the one that I think gets beat up more than any of the rest of them, is the EMF meter. Now the EMF meter, as I said before, is unprotected, but this is designed to pick up electromagnetic fields or frequencies, and it is designed to use a very small increment of a scientific unit of measurement called the Gauss. This uses the milligauss. Okay, now the milligauss, it says right there on the device, milligauss. So if you turn this on and this calibrates and you put it on your laptop, it goes bananas. So yes, scientifically, electrical engineer designed that to find electrical currents in the home and how it's and the abundance of it in your house or building, or whether there's power. So yes, that is science connected to the design of that device. So without any doubt, there's science behind that. So the last one I'm going to talk about is, this is the male meter, but I'm going to talk about the REM pod. Now, this device itself was designed by, I know, an electrical engineer. His name was Gary Galka. He designed this and named it after his daughter passed away, to have contact with her because he was grief-stricken. This was designed by an electrical engineer. His name was Gary Galka. Now, there's also credit given to him on the internet regarding creating the REM pod and the male meter, which has a REM pod function. So whether or not that's entirely true, he's the only one and can get sole credit for creating the REM pod, I don't know. But there is science behind that because it was created by an engineer. So I don't know what other evidence you need that there's science behind it other than it's created by an electrical engineer. I couldn't create it. I don't have that expertise. So yes, I would consider there's science behind that. Again, I'm going to put this caveat to this question. Is the evidence irrefutable? Is it evidence that you found the ghost because any of these devices are going off? Absolutely not. I do not think so. I do not think that these devices, even though I think some of them are based, or most of them are based in science, is definitive proof that their spirits exist and you're walking around with them. So, but to answer the question, yes, there is science behind these devices. So, moving on to number 4. Question number 4. Is there value in using these devices? Does these devices have value? Now, I did that I asked that question on our intro, is your device? And I'm going to make this very, very, very quick, very brief. We're going to blow through this one. And it's yes. And both documenting evidence of the environment and anomalies, and also in entertainment. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean. You have any of these videos, here where these gentlemen are going out in a building and they're ghost hunting and they're going out looking for paranormal evidence, and all you see are these gentlemen or group, ladies, going out, and all they do is stand around in the dark and go, man, it's cold in here. Oh, did you hear that? Oh, look at this. So entertainment purposes for someone watching their efforts to go out and find ghosts and evidence of ghosts or spirits or whatever you want to call it, anomalies, then entertainment value is off the charts. That you can use the devices to enhance that experience for the viewer. So for just plain entertainment value, I think it's off the charts. If you've seen my videos where I stand out there, I use 2 different devices, and and they one goes off, and then I ask for another response and another device. That, in my opinion, for the viewer says, hey, well, maybe there is something to this. Maybe not. But for me, doing it personally, when I'm out there in my experience and I see these go off, I kind of get the creeps. I get hair standing on the back of my neck. I actually move in some of my videos. When you see in that one video with the ghost radar where there's something standing behind me, I actually move because I feel like someone's standing behind me. Now, I could just be creeping myself out. I don't know. But I'm just saying there is entertainment value. Now, is there value in scientific value? Again, I would say yes. You go out and you're using your devices, you're capturing this equipment, you're documenting it, and you eliminate all the possible contamination for these devices, because there is contamination. All of us that use these devices, and most of these very well-known paranormal investigators, you're going to go out and they're going to tell you right from the get-go, yes, there's a possibility you could get false positives on it. They go out of their way. They know the failings of these equipment, and they try to eliminate it and go, well, I can't explain it. And I don't know how you can be more honest and more forthwith than that, hey, these devices are just assisting me, but in no way am I saying that's absolutely a ghost. And I'm going to tell you this also. these people who do these paranormal, and especially, like I said, a lot of them are younger than I am, and they work. There are channels that I watch these people out every week, traveling, going in the dark, going into old places, creepy places most people wouldn't even think about going into, and they're down there and they're working. And so they're using these devices to enhance that viewer experience. So yes, I think there's value to it. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we're going to move on to question number 5. If I want to buy any of this ghost hunting equipment and devices, I decide I want to do this, where can I buy them? Well, I'm going to tell you where I get most of my devices, and I think I've mentioned it before. And most of my devices I get right here from Ghost Stop. And you'll see anything that you've seen on this table, anything you could probably search online, you're going to probably be able to get it at Ghost Stop. Now, I say that because I live in Florida. I like to support them. They've been very good to me. They don't sponsor me in any way. They're very reputable. They've been on Discovery Channel. They've been on several YouTube channels. They do their own investigations. And they have just, like I said, they have been fabulous with me, replacing my equipment and helping me when I can't sort out how to change the settings on something. So, Ghost Stop is my primary resource for purchasing this stuff. Now you can get it from Amazon as well, and there are other websites that I've seen that you can probably search on Google and YouTube as well. Just put in there ghost hunting equipment purchase, probably find a lot of it. But I am going to say that I have dealt with these people many times, and they have been fabulous. So now let's not forget phone apps. Now, phone apps similar to this equipment are apps that are designed to work within your phone. They do the same thing. They have spirit boxes on there. They have digital recorders. They have EMF devices, I believe, for these for the phone apps. Now, one phone app that I've seen used that is I think is very reliable and reputable is called GhostTube. I think a lot of the channels that I watch use the GhostTube. It was created by Amy and Jared from Amy's Crypt. I would recommend you going and checking out their channel. Amazing. I think Paranormal Quest uses it all the time as well. And I even think that Foreman Brothers on Paranormal Nightmare uses it. But don't forget about the phone apps. They're a good way to get started. And if you want to purchase them, they're normally cheaper than the devices I have on the table. And you can get subscriptions, you can get bonus features, you can get all sorts of things involved with that purchase on the phone. And if you don't like it in the initial product, you can always delete it, and you're only out $5, $6, $10 most of the time. And you can do a lot of investigation with these apps. So I highly recommend that if you want to dip your toe into paranormal investigation and you want to get started, I would recommend a video app, a phone app, to go out and just start giving it a go and see how you like it. So that's where I buy my equipment. That's some of my suggestions. Amazon, Ghost Stop, and look on your Google Play and your Apple Store and look for the phone apps. Like I said, GhostTube is great. Spirit Talker, I know a lot of people use. Necrophonic is another one. Again, I use GhostTube. When I do use them, I like to use GhostTube. Now, I have used the M2, I think the M2 Ghost Hunter app, which is just hilarious with the Ghost Radar. I love the Ghost Radar, so I'm just going to throw that out there. I had the best time with the Ghost Radar. I still like to go sit around, turn it on when I'm not recording, and just see if it picks up anything. So I have a video. I'll link it in the description box where I used the Ghost Radar from the M2 and the Mail Meter as the REM pod, and it was a pretty exciting experience. So that is number 5, where I can buy them and where do I download the apps. You just same as you would any other app on your phone. Just go to Google Play, Apple Store, and there they are. You can just look at them. Like I said, I'm going to go over one more time. GhostTube, Spirit Talker, Necrophonic is the ones that I see all the time. I'm going to end this video with my final thoughts on the subject. I just want to add one more thing about the EMF meter. The reason why the EMF meter is used in the paranormal field to begin with is because there's a theory that when you pass on that your soul, your spirit energy, it's electrical, you have residual energy, and that's why the EMF was kind of adopted into the paranormal field. It's because they felt that they could locate that energy with the EMF meter. So I just wanted to point that out with the EMF meter. That's another reason why this thing is treated so harshly by skeptics, is because, like I said, it's unprotected, and they're saying that there's so many other sources of energy in our everyday lives and in modern society that could set this thing off, that there's no way you could determine that there is anything else that's doing it but that. And the devices that you bring with you as well will set it off. A common statement from the skeptics is the REM pod sets off the EMF meter and the EMF meter sets off the REM pod. Well, that's kind of not, I don't really think that's possible for two reasons. The distance, most investigators put them away from one another. So even if it was possible, it's kind of hard to say that the EMF meter is going off because the REM pod on the second floor or vice versa. And secondly, the EMF detector is designed to detect EMF fields, and the REM pod creates its own little bubble around the antenna, which is very small, and it's not very powerful, but if it's intruded upon, it gives you an alert. So I think that's another reason why the EMF meter gets bashed on so much, is because the contamination sources for it are so vast. But you will notice that most investigators, when they use this, they either use it for a baseline and say, hey, look at all this current that's in the house, if they are in a powered location, or when it goes off, they're like, well, I've tried to eliminate every source to make it go off, and it's unexplainable. But by no means do they go, oh, well, the EMF meter goes off, so it's got to be a ghost. Okay, so my final thoughts about this, and I'm also going to state once again, this came about because I heard so much negativity about the ghost hunting devices, and where people are delusional using them and they have no value. And I'm not going to defend every single device that I've used or I see on this table as definitive proof that there's the afterlife or spirits. And I find it a little insulting that someone would suggest that at my age I would take an EMF detector or spirit box and I would go out and say, oh, did you hear that? That's a ghost. And there's no other reason for it. And I'm so mental to think that every time one of these devices go off or I get some documented anomaly, that's a ghost. Because that's not the case. And I don't think any intelligent paranormal investigator on any YouTube channel or any Discovery channel, now they may do it for entertainment purposes and you can take it with a grain of salt, but I think the majority of the people that I see on YouTube, they work hard, they have credibility, what they're doing, they believe in, and they are doing sincere work. So I think that to beat them down and to say that what they're doing is just absolutely crazy, nuts, and there's no substance to it is, I think it's a little demeaning. So using these devices, if you want to go out and you want to go out ghost hunt, then like I said, I would suggest starting slow with the ghost hunting apps. Maybe buy an EMF meter. This one is very cheap, very cheap. And I'll tell you, I bought this one because I watched a very good channel, Mindseed TV. They go out and they use that, and the way they do their camera work is low light. This thing lights up, it makes noise, and they're walking around in a creepy house, low light. This thing goes off, it's very spooky, and it definitely enhances the experience watching their video. So if you want to do paranormal investigation, remember, it's in the dark. A lot of times you're going to be alone. You're going to have to carry a lot of equipment. You're going to have to worry about people and all those things. Now, I know this video is not about ghost hunting, but ghost hunting devices. But remember, if you need to go to a location to set these devices up, you're going to have to protect yourself both spiritually and physically. And I can't stress that enough. So if you're going to go ghost hunting and you want to try this, you want to use these devices, start with the apps I would suggest, and then move slowly into the equipment and what you want to do, where you want to investigate, because some of it's not suited for the outdoors, some of it's better suited for indoors, and vice versa. So that's my final thoughts on the subject. That I think that the skeptic shouldn't be insulting to think that these paranormal investigators feel that they've captured ghosts because they get one of their devices to go off. I think that's again, I think that's a little demeaning and I think it's a little simple-minded to think that that's what these investigators are thinking, because they're not, and they state it as well. So that's it for this video, haunters. If you have any other comments about what I've said today, I try to remain positive about most of my videos and most of my experiences. But I did, like I said, I did get into listening to some people really bash up on paranormal investigators for using these devices and using them to document evidence. And I thought it was a little unfair. So I wanted to make this video and kind of put my opinion on there on these 5 little simple subjects. And I will put my video in the description box so you can check out when I was using the 2 devices together. And there are other videos that I use my devices almost every investigation, and you can check those out as well. But the one talking with the spirits, I think, is particularly entertaining with the 2 devices. So I'm going to link that one. Make sure that, again, if you decide to go out and do paranormal investigation, you protect yourself. Protect yourself spiritually, protect yourself physically. And if you can do it with someone, I suggest have a partner. Don't do it alone. And make sure that you understand that if you spend your money on these devices, and your camera for that matter, there's always that chance that it's going to be damaged and you're going to lose it. And so make sure that you can calculate that risk and that loss. All right, hunters, that's basically it for this video. So always be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other. Have a great day, great weekend, because it's weekend for me. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on the next one.